Welcome to the new summer season of Gap Talk Show, bringing you the latest news and technology from the advanced packaging industry. We've moved the weekly newsletter from Wednesday to Thursday, so in future you'll receive your newsletter on your inbox on a Thursday.
And if you want more information on any of these stories, simply subscribe to our newsletter or visit us at globaladvancedpackaging.net.
Now let's get on with the show. Okay, so Gillian, of course, the big story this week is Infineon. Huge fab they're opening in Germany. Tell us what's happening there.
Yeah, so this week was a really big week for Infineon. Yeah, like you mentioned, they just opened the world's largest power semiconductor fab in Dresden, Germany. Um, as you know, there's a lot of activity for power semiconductors in that region of the world, and they're really working hard to position themselves as the world leader in power semiconductors. Um, and as you know, there's so many applications for power semiconductors. Infineon is really active in the automotive industry. And then also for AI data centers, power semiconductors are critical.
Okay. Yeah, of course. I mean, the German automotive business has been at the heart of manufacturing in Germany, and it's unfortunately been suffering quite a bit in this last year or so, year or two actually, because of the pullback in EVs and also, of course, the Chinese cars coming in. So it's quite timely for Infineon to be ramping up on the data center side of the business and also into the 5G and 6G market as well. That's good.
Yeah.
So, what else has been happening this week?
Kind of keeping in line with Infineon, they've been in the news a lot. They just completed their acquisition of AMS Osram, the sensor portfolio from AMS Osram. Um, that company, it's a photonics and sensors company based in Austria. And this is pretty significant because on the packaging side, it's really difficult to scale analog sensors down to like the 5 or the 3 nanometer nodes. So basically, from what I understand, I've spent a lot of time trying to really understand the significance of this, especially as someone who's newer to the industry. But what they did is they created basically AMS Osram basically created like a little bridge ASIC that can link older analog sensors with more advanced logic die in the same package through the UCIe framework. So they're able to communicate through that little bridge ASIC. So basically, by buying the sensor portfolio, they've basically purchased a library of little translator ASICs that are going to give them a major competitive advantage, especially, as they share the space with analog devices and Texas Instruments and some of those companies as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's interesting. There's certainly been a lot of activity on the software side for creating translators for some of these legacy machines and equipment that's out there in the factory space, and trying to get them to connect with the digital backbone of these factories. But there's still a need for some physical connections as well, and this will be very, very useful. Okay, the next big thing we want to talk about this week is moving on to the glass substrate market, which is really expanding very,
Mhm.
very quickly. So what's going on
Very.
there?
So yeah, this week the big story in glass is Sumitomo Chemical and Samsung Electro-Mechanics established a new glass core substrate joint venture. So it's still pending legal approval from what I've read, but that joint venture is expected to ramp up later this year. So I'm going to keep my eye on that. But this is super important for really large, high density, and more reliable advanced packages, especially as data centers continue to scale. In this next issue of Global Advanced Packaging, my article will focus on that specifically, not the glass, but the data center AI scaling portion. So if you're interested, keep your eye out for that. But
Hmm.
this is a big story because From how I understood this, this is basically Korea and Japan's response to TSMC and Intel. Even though Korea specifically is really trying to establish itself in the memory market, it still can't afford to lose out on glass. So this is kind of an alternative for hyperscalers to not be fully reliant on TSMC, which, is a big topic of conversation in this industry.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, and the whole glass subject is becoming very important because it's basically going to replace the typical FR4 and other types of substrates that we're currently using in a lot of these advanced packages. Glass, of course, is a lot. It's a lot quicker and better at conducting. But the other problem is, of course, on the FR4 side, there's a lot of issues with shortages in the supply chain with T glass and things like
Mhm.
that, really causing lots of bottlenecks in the supply chain. So interesting to see this. I think it's something we're going to see more of in the future, but certainly an interesting story. So we're talking on the glass story. I think you've got another one this week. What's that about?
Yeah, so you mentioned the glass core supply chain at the exact right time. It is a very difficult supply chain, so this story I found particularly interesting. There's a company called ACCM that stands for Advanced Chip and Circuit Materials. They Yesterday they released an announcement basically saying that they came out with an organic material that basically mimics the properties of glass. They put out a pretty detailed release about it. It's on the website if you want to check it out. Um, but it's kind of almost in a way like a competitive piece of news to the news that we discussed. I mean, glass is going to scale regardless. Glass fabs are going to exist regardless. But this company basically said, hey, if you want the benefits of glass, but you don't want to retool, here's our new organic material that is technically an organic. You don't need to retool, but it does come with some of those same benefits that glass offers.
Wow, yeah, that's really interesting because I mean, they're absolutely right that when a lot of these new technologies come in, there's an element of retooling involved. You know, sometimes you've got to change your systems, and that is really expensive, really, really expensive.
Yeah.
And also, you've not just got the retooling costs; you've got the training cost as well. You've got to train the people on how to use the new systems. So if you can sort of use existing systems to handle this organic material, then so much the better. Yeah.
Yeah, and in this release that they put out, there was a really great quote. The industry does not have a low CTE problem. It has a low CTE at an acceptable cost problem. I thought that was really interesting. That's a really cool perspective.
Yeah, yeah, that's smart. I mean, CTE is becoming such a bigger thing now with, all these thermal challenges and everything we're getting in advanced packaging is critical. And finally, CG Semi's OSAT facility in Sanand, Gujarat, India, officially commenced commercial chip packaging. The launch represents an incredible rapid timeline for the project, which laid its foundation stone only in 2024. Its current capability is 20 million units annually, with goals to eventually reach its ultimate capacity of 5 billion units per year.
It's crazy. Yeah, especially in that region of India, there have been so many facility announcements from that part of the world. India is really doing an insane job scaling quickly. I
Incredible.
mean, they are like the most populated country in the world, which does give them an advantage, but still, I
Yeah.
think it's so impressive what they're doing.
Yeah, well, they're actually, what really impresses me is they're doing a complete end-to-end supply chain. You know, everything from the PCB through
Mhm.
from and the fab right through to the finished product. But in terms of OSATs, I mean, there's one company alone, Keynes, is actually building
Oh my God.
seven OSATs. I mean, that's just that company alone. I think there's in total there's maybe about 10 or 11 that I can think of off the top of my head that are getting built at the moment in India. And this is the first. Well, I think this is the second one to come online. I think one of Keynes is already online. But
Yeah,
there
it
you
was
go. Yeah. Okay, so that's it for this week. If you liked this broadcast, please like and subscribe on YouTube, and remember to share the newsletter with your friends.
And you can watch or listen to this podcast on YouTube, LinkedIn, Meta, X, and of course, all your normal podcast locations like Apple, Spotify, and Google.
Okay, great. So till next week at the same time, it's goodbye from me and
goodbye from me.
goodbye.